The construction industry's hidden problem. In this video, I'm going to talk to you all about unhealthy competition and why it's so destructive for our industry. So would you like to know what happens when we have unhealthy competition or toxic competition, the negative impact it has, and what we should do to fix this right now? If you do, stay with us on this video because that's what we're going to discuss. So I want to anchor us back to just a little bit of an analogy in our minds. So when we think about competition, most of the time people think capitalism, competition, that's going to have everybody advance in a manner that will help the industry. But let me just go ahead and explain it like this. Could you imagine, let's say it was in a school, let's say it was in a college competition or anything else. Let's say it was a competition that was designed to actually produce the best overall project or the best overall product or solution. Could you imagine if those entities then started to hide information from each other, hurt the other parties, start bad-mouthing and really hurting the reputation of the other people in the competition, siloing and not using the genius of the entire group, or just even doing whatever the host wants in the competition instead of actually innovating, and then never sharing the results at the end so that you could actually utilize it and take the solution of the product and scale it in mass, right? Could you imagine a competition like that? That's when, like, and you've seen it before, like healthy football competitions or soccer competitions goes from, hey, we're competing and we want to be the best that there is, to, hey, now we're defacing property, we're killing mascots, we're beating people up, right? Like where it becomes so toxic that you just got to cancel the game, right? That's construction. Construction is literally in a situation where we are hurting each other, we are negatively competing, we are not sharing, we are not using the wisdom of the team. And when somebody does find something out, then they do not let it scale to the other contractors in the industry. That means other people do not benefit. And the outcome of that is that we stay stagnant and we hurt people. Like, it is absolutely insane. And there's a lot of you that disagree with me on this. I know I'm making people mad here, but just stay with me. Unhealthy competition, or this conflict, is the ninth waste, and we've got to stop it. And so let me talk about a couple things here. The reason that people compete like they do in the construction industry is because, one, they want market share. Obviously, they don't want somebody else to have it. And they think that it's a zero-sum game and that there isn't enough to go around, and they live in a world of scarcity. Number two, obviously, if we hide and silo and don't share, even if it's at the expense of other people, company leaders will think that they are entering what's called profit maximization, that they can get the most profit out of that effort, even if it hurts people. Number three, companies will silo and not share if they feel like they now have an innovative or a competitive advantage, which differentiates them. That, number four, will lead to customer loyalty or satisfaction so that they can then create a monopoly, because companies are focused on brand recognition, which is important, right? Their approach, their culture, but a lot of times in construction we do it with our products and our knowledge and our innovation, which then not shared hurts other people. Which leads to number six, which is a lack of resource allocation evenly to all parties so they even have the resources to compete. Because seven, the company wants to strategically position themselves. Under eight, economic pressure. Because of nine, investor expectations. So it's not good enough nowadays for companies to just do well and make a decent profit and be an infinite company like Simon Sinek talks about. The only purpose for a company nowadays is so that the investors can one day sell and double, triple, or 10x or 20x their investment. So it's all focused on advancing and growing and consuming as much as possible so that the investors can get their money back, which isn't inherently evil to make money, but the system protects the system. Now, I'm being a little bit negative here, but overall competition is healthy when it's healthy, and it's a good thing for us. But here's my vision of competition, is that the industry would literally share, and the competition would be in their customer service, in their delivery, in their approach, and the relationships that they build. It does us no good when a company will actually innovate and find out how something is done and then withhold it from other people, because you know who suffers? Our workers, our foremen, our trades, and our industry as a whole, which is so far behind and which is so backwards that we're losing production every year, in contrast to manufacturing, who gain productivity every year. I wish we were all like Toyota, where we actually invite people in to learn. We share, we allow people to tour, and we're spreading that knowledge, knowing that if we really are as good as we say, that we can be competitive and share at the same time. See, that's what people don't understand. They're like, hey, Jason, it's a competition. Hey, they're our enemy. Hey, they're our competitor. No, hold on a minute. If you're really that good, then you could share how you're doing business. You could share industry benefit techniques. You could share technology. You could share the way you're improving the lives of people and still be ahead of your game. That's real competition. For an example, like in the Olympic Games, like everybody competes with an equal or a fair environment, right? They all have mats. They all have the equipment that they need. They all have the same targets. They all have the same time. They all had to qualify, right? So in the right parameters, with the right resources, then you can actually compete. The way we do it in construction, it would be like I'm an Olympic champion or an athlete trying to be a champion, and I go take the mat from the other individual, or extend their qualifying time so that they didn't have to practice, or get rid of the goal, or damage the timer, or do something to sabotage them. So honest competition is when we have an honest, ethical, level playing field and then can compete. The way we do it in construction is where we sabotage the other people, and that would be no fun to watch. And it isn't. So unhealthy, toxic competition, we think helps the company, but it hurts the industry. But here is the actual key. Here's the actual secret. We don't win as construction companies unless we win together. So we're going to have to start sharing. We're going to have to start networking. We're going to have to start helping each other. We're going to have to start leveling, because even companies that are competing for resources are doing it at their own detriment. If you ever read the book, The Fifth Discipline, which you really should read, they have a really neat analogy in there, and actually a game and a study that shows what happens when competing entities start to make order upon order upon order upon order to all of their vendors, and then the overall lead times start to really increase, and it hurts everyone. So this is a myopic view, and it's got to stop. Here's what happens when you have toxic competition. Number one, quality degradation. In an attempt to compete with other service providers or other builders or other construction companies, the quality diminishes because shortcuts are taken. Number two, unethical practices. When companies are in this toxic competition, it can lead to false advertising, price fixing, intellectual property theft, which I see everywhere, and unfair labor practices. Number three, short-term cost cutting, which will get rid of people systems, it will get rid of training, all in the effort or in the name of cutting costs so that we can compete with other people. And guess who pays the price? When you don't have training, when you don't have the right people systems, when you don't have all of these things in place, you don't have the right structure, and you don't have the right processes, then that only hurts people, takes that company down and the other companies, and we end up getting worse, which we are from a data standpoint in construction, instead of getting better. Number four, employee exploitation, where companies, to reduce costs and compete, will start to exploit their workers with low wages, poor working conditions, and excessive demands. Number five, this all creates customer or client mistrust. And when you have mistrust, then you start to add layers of rules and structure and bureaucracy and managers upon managers, which wastes our time, decreases our productivity. Six, innovation stagnation. While healthy competition can actually spur on good innovation, unhealthy or toxic competition where we're driving down prices can actually reduce that money and time invested in research and development and actually keep everybody down. Number seven, all of this leads to economic instability. When you have that toxic competition, that can drive prices down. Price wars ensue, and profitability across the market will reduce, which then leads to layoffs, bankruptcies, and an overall negative impact on the economy. And number eight, this can also lead to environmental damage, and then also lead to legal and regulatory backlash, which will further tighten the grip on companies that could have just played nice in the first place in the sandbox and make it even harder to be productive. Overall, competition is healthy for a market until it becomes toxic. I'm telling you, the toxic version is what we do in construction. We have too much of this toxic competition. So I recommend that we like and subscribe to this channel. Wait, no, hold on. I'd like you to like and subscribe to the channel anyway, but let me go through this. I think we invest together, meaning I love to see joint ventures. I love to see partnerships. I love to see what they call cooperation, where you are competing, but you're cooperating and helping other contractors get to base levels, so that we are investing in our people, investing in industry positive trends, investing in good technologies that will actually help us, and pooling together our resources and actually leveraging the wisdom of the team. We talk about that all the time, leveraging the wisdom of the team, but yet construction companies typically don't do it. So if we want to get better, we're going to have to start doing that. Number two, learning together. I think information should be free. Like if a contractor learns about tax planning or last planner or this new contracting method or integrated project delivery or whatever, all of these systems, tools, spreadsheets, documents, processes, outlines, things that have worked, we should literally be sharing that in an open forum, sharing those tools and templates so that everybody can get to that bare minimum standard, to that base, and compete in an effective, equal, or fair rather environment, and everybody could continue to advance instead of keeping our competitors in the Stone Ages by literally siloing and figuring that out. So literally, if there's 1,000, and there's more than that, there's probably like 100,000 or 1 million different contractors in the US, instead of 1 million different entities having to figure out a thing 1 million different times independently, we could just solve it once and spread it. Solve it, spread it, and really advance our industry. And number 3 and 4 are sharing together and training together. Making sure that we as a group are lifting each other up and elevating each other and allowing the goodness of our company, our culture, our delivery, and our relationship to be the competing factor and not how much we undermine someone else. The construction industry's hidden problem is that we're all siloed and not sharing, and we're keeping the construction industry in the dark ages, in the Stone Ages, because we are in this toxic, unhealthy competition. I'm going to link to you in the description below a blog post that will cover this entire thing in case you want to reference it ever in the future, because we need to fix this together if we are ever going to match manufacturing and start to rise in our productivity instead of falling every year. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.